but I only had.
But your wife ultimately was healed from leukemia.
No.
I'm sorry, your ex-wife.
Yeah, she. I think last week, 7 years. She's 6 years. She's been gone.
She passed away?
Yep.
Wow, I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Nah, it's all good, man. It's all good. It was getting hard to see, age 5 years where it was coming and we thinking like, yes, she's good. She's getting her hair back. She's chilling, makeup, whatever. And then something happened. It came back stronger. She lost 100 pounds in 2 months. It was just hard to see. And I know that, the family, they knew it was hard to see. It was getting hard to see. And
welcome to another episode of What's Up with DJ. I'm your host, DJ. Each week, I bring you topics about current events, career development, finance, holistic living, life hacks, and stories of inspiration and humor, all from a spiritual perspective. So be sure to subscribe, like, comment, and leave a review on Apple Podcast. Your thoughts, opinions, and comments are always encouraged and appreciated. With that being said, let's get right into the show. My guest this week is Dave Hernandez. Dave has been serving in the U.S. military for the past 20 plus years. He discovered his passion for radio, broadcasting, and introducing new artists 12 years ago when he started a successful podcast called QSJ Radio, which supports and promotes unsigned musical artists. As he's approaching the end of his military career, he's looking to convert his hobby into a full-time career. He developed and launched his radio show, Mad La, on QSJ Radio, which provides thought-provoking and entertaining content for over 20,000 listeners in 30-plus countries. QSJ Radio is based out of Chesapeake, Virginia. Dave wants to use his platform to inform, educate, and entertain and build a healthy national consciousness.
all right.
So thank you, man, for joining the show. I really appreciate having you here.
Thank you, DJ. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So one of the things that we discussed last time we talked was that I'm a veteran in the Marine Corps. I've been out for a while. But, so we're like cousins in a way because you are currently in the Navy.
Yep.
If you don't mind me saying. And so, and I think when we started talking at some point, well, I don't think I know, we started talking and I mentioned that I did a 6-month float. And for the people who don't know what a float
on
is.
Board. The float means that the Marine was basically on the Navy ship.
Catching a ride
to do the mission. And when we discussed it, you mentioned the ship you were on, which was the Saipan. Man.
Yeah, man, the Saipan, that freaking old ass ship. Yeah.
Yeah. Decommissioned now.
It's decommissioned now.
Which is crazy because as we got to the conversation, we started talking about the year, and the year was 2001. And it actually was the end of 2000. And we were talking about how, I think you mentioned it was real funny. The bombing of the Cole, and I was like, wait,
yeah, the USS Cole, yeah.
Wait. So put 2 and 2 together, we find out that we were on the same ship.
Yeah, man. At the same time.
Years ago, yeah.
Crazy. Man. Small world.
I'm telling you.
That's what I call synchronicity right there.
Yes.
At its best.
That is
But
nice.
when I saw your picture for the first time, I said, that guy just looks familiar to me. I don't know why he looks familiar, but I think I've seen him before, And
I don't know.
so,
I look way different than you look at your boot camp pic. Like,
yeah, but the eyes never change though.
true,
The
true.
eyes never change. So yeah, man. So I was on the USS Saipan with you. We didn't know each other at the time,
No.
and also we had that crazy experience of being a part of that fleet, which included the USS Cole, which was bombed by not the Taliban. What's the
Al
other crazy
Qaeda.
foods? Al Qaeda off
Yeah.
the coast of Yemen.
Yep.
And it was like really, it was like the chillest, coolest float ever. Being on the ship, it was in the middle of the Mediterranean. We're going to Italy, going to Spain, Croatia, Malta, and then when that happened, all hell broke loose. It was like, here's your rifle, here's your helmet, here's your, it
like
was
we were
crazy.
doing something for me. I just joined at that time, and
Okay.
I was coming from Sigonella, Italy, and the cold didn't happen yet.
Mm-hmm.
I just finished my boot camp training in early October, something like that, and then got to Florida, did 2 weeks there, then went home. After my 2 weeks leave, I flew to Rome. Flying to Rome, they flew me to Sigonella, and then something took a while. So
Okay.
because I was there for the first time, I just stood in the barracks room that they gave me. So I didn't look at the news. I didn't do anything. Next time I come outside, there's a officer. I forget his name. I know he was a pilot though. He was going on board the George Washington at the time, and he was like, "You didn't see the news?" I'm like, "No, I just stood on the phone. I was trying to like call my girlfriend at the time, right?" And he's like, "They bombed one of our ships. We lost some sailors." I was like, "What?" And so from in Sigonella, when I first got there, the gate was like it was relaxed, right? Everybody was like, just show me ID or whatever. The next time I came outside, helmets, bulletproof vest, rifles, everything was out. And they checked everything, my whole sea bag, everything. And I was like, oh man. So to find out that I was going to the fleet that the Cole was on board USS Saipan, and
you were like, damn, I joined the right time.
you know what? It wasn't even a bad feeling. It was more like, let's see what the situation is on the ship.
Okay.
But I knew that because I know Marines, you guys got a tough boot camp, and the Navy, we kind of like don't. But I know at the end, we kind of like have this almost a pledge of allegiance kind of ceremony. And I kind of knew that, those are my brothers and sisters, regardless if I met them or not. And I got to go ahead and go forward with this mission. So I kind of focused on that. But like I said, it was my first time on a ship. So at the same time, I was excited, scared. But yeah, man, like that was a really nice, you guys called it a float. We called it a cruise.
Yeah, well, if you was on the USS Saipan, and there are nicer, larger, newer ships, that I wish I was on at that time. And to be on that is like definitely not a cruise. It's like, there were people like falling over the ship. Like every once in a while, somebody would try to commit suicide. Someone would jump.
Yep.
I don't know if they jumped off on purpose or was commit suicide, but then the Navy SEALs will have to go and get them.
Yep.
Helicopters flying over the ship, looking with the big, light, trying to find the person who's fell overboard. All that stuff was going on. And it's not difficult to fall off a ship because there's like big window, like it's not a window, but it's just an opening. So you're walking.
It's a hangar bay. It's a hangar bay, and they have two doors. It's basically like a bay where they keep all the aircraft when they're doing maintenance on it. And there's not a lot of windows on those kind of ships, but you do have access openings. That if you do if you kind of do lose it, people do try to go over.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
if if the psych on board the ship decides that you're like a danger to the ship, they fly you off.
Yeah, yeah, man. And there's a brig on the ship as well.
Yes, a
That
brig is a
a
jail.
brig, a jail was on the ship.
Yep.
So it was like a 6 month. The 6 months that I was on, I learned a lot, and I got to go to a lot of great places before the USS Cole was bombed. And so overall, it was a great experience, and I would have loved to do it over again. And because it was just such an awesome experience to be able to visit all those countries. And when you're in the Mediterranean, literally you have nothing like this, just a bunch of countries that's like surrounding you,
Yeah.
the whole time. So you got like, it's like if you were to try to visit all those places on your own,
yeah, you could.
You could, but it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. I mean,
but they got faster trains. Let's just put
yeah,
faster trains. Let's get
you got faster trains. So I would love to have a chance to visit Croatia and Malta and Turkey and just all the places that I got a chance to visit.
And very lovely times too.
Yeah, it actually is. I was looking at some video on YouTube, and the girl who's I think she's like biracial, and her mother is Croatian, her father is some other I don't know, he's some other kind of black, and he's from Washington D.C. So she's lived in Washington D.C. and she moved back to Croatia with her mother. And so she's just like a black girl in Croatia, Wow. And she does a YouTube thing up there. I like to have her on my show. Maybe we can have a conversation. What was it like being a black girl in Croatia? But she seemed like they're having a pretty good time from her YouTube channel. So I definitely love to go back to Croatia and check it out.
I've been waiting to go back, and then it's crazy because you remember, like, we had internet, but we didn't have internet. It was just only email.
Yeah.
It was only email. And I tried so hard to keep in contact with some of the people I met overseas. So that didn't go so well. But I would love to.
It's hard.
One. Yeah.
It was hard to get. When I was in the military, man, in the Marine Corps, it was just hard to get an email address,
Yes.
And then because it was something that was rare. And then when I got back to the States, I got like a Hotmail account or something like that. It was one of those basic, one of those one like Yahoo, it was something like that.
Hotmail, Yahoo was popping, AOL.
Yeah. And, but it was like all very new. But I didn't get my first computer, like real computer, until I was like 24 or something, like 23 or 24.
Really? Yeah, I think my first ever computer was like my first apartment. So I think 19. But I was already in the Navy. So after doing a deployment, I kind of just wanted to get an apartment. And then I ended up having a laptop that survived a long time.
Yeah. They don't last like crap now,
No, I'm telling you.
Was it a Mac or
forever? You know why? Another thing is like, there was a lot of like technology, and it was getting smaller, and we knew it. But there was a lot of more of do not change so fast, right?
Yeah.
Like you could put a graphic card in, you can change stuff, laptops, desktops, whatever. And the internet was so new. It was so new, and it was growing so fast. Right. The only thing that really was changing really fast was the speed of internet.
Yeah.
And as nanotechnology was coming, it just didn't want to get rid of the computer. First of all, it cost an arm and a leg. Okay. and you're not trying to get rid of anything that costs an arm and a leg that fast. You're not trying to get over it.
It's kind of shocking to me now that people pay $1,000 or, more than $1,000 now for a smartphone, and they upgrade every single year.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's like, I'm just like, that's like, no one back then, when I first, like my first computer when I was like 9 years old or something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, my first real computer, like when you actually on the internet, that cost me something like, I think actually it was a laptop and a friend gave it to me.
I seriously think the prices are the same, except like maybe like $200-300 depending on what do you want from it, right? So we had these computers, which right now they're probably worth $200-300 or even less. But then it was, 256 megabytes was your hard drive instead of like 256 gigabytes or whatever. And you're sitting there like, wow, this costs a lot of money. And you just focus on that. But as external hard drives came out, see, there was a lot of things that were adapting to what people didn't want to do. They didn't want to go back and get a new computer. They didn't want to do all that. They went and got external hard drives, all this. Or I went to flea markets a lot, and I went and got some parts and stuff, and I got into that kind of stuff. But I think, wow, that was a pastime. And I tell you, I got this laptop right now, one Father's Day, and I got this new one right now, and I'm still sticking with my old one, like old times. Like you're.
Is it a Mac?
No. I'm still a PC guy.
Okay.
I can't do the other stuff yet.
Yeah, I got my first Mac a couple of years ago. One of the best decisions I ever made.
Okay.
And still there's no such thing as the perfect, technology.
Yeah.
But I have to say it is, there's still things that I miss about the PC, about having Windows that they just do well. Yeah. But I think what Apple gets right is they don't overcomplicate something that doesn't need to be overcomplicated.
Okay.
And that I do like. It's a lot of things are just to the point.
Okay.
So I like that about Apple, and it's made for longevity. It's made for longevity, because they are the same people who created the operating system, created the computer itself.
Yeah.
But when you buy a Windows, you get, you might get Dell, you might get HP or some lesser type of computer, and it just doesn't operate well because it's not made
specifically by one person, which is fine. Yeah. It's all good. I mean, we could get all technical. I got Apple phones.
Yeah, me too. I like that. I like my phone talks to my computer and my iPad. They all kind of, ring together. I like that. That's actually the reason why I went back to an iPhone, because when I got my Mac, I wanted my phone and my computer and my iPad all sort of to talk to each other. Yeah, to sync up, and it does that very well.
Very good. I've seen it. It doesn't do that well with the other guys, but
no, you can talk about third-party apps and try to make it work, but
it's frustrating.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, what made you want to? I know I talked about in the intro a little bit about what you wanting to, why you started your own broadcasting platform. Your own podcast. I mean, I've seen things on Facebook that you're doing, and I did talk about a little bit about the late night podcast or the late night, live Facebook.
Yeah,
live.
Don't catch me on there. But so it was around 2006 that I was an artist. Some people claim that I'm still am, but whatever. I was an artist. I was
doing like rapping or singing.
I was rapping.
Okay.
And rapping and singing. That was the first Drake holla at me. No, but I got frustrated because I took a lot of time in wherever I was stationed at. I took advantage of the 10-mile radius. So if I was in Leonardtown, Maryland, I had Baltimore right there. I had DC. I had a whole bunch of places. So I would, create my own tours, and things were just not working. But for me, I'm an unsigned artist, and an unsigned artist, they don't know anything. They have to first understand that part about themselves. You don't know anything, right? You don't know business. You don't know this. Now, some might. So some might know something. But what they do is they unfocus, right? They get this instant gratification, and then they move away from this business plan that they had, whatever. So here I had this focus where I just needed to get as many shows as possible, and somebody's going to pick me up. Somebody's going to knock on my door, right? That's the dream. Somebody's going to come to me. But that's not that. I'm not playing on a football team. I'm not playing somewhere, so no one sees me. I'm basically picking these late night pubs, these places I don't go on the regular. I'm just there because I'm stationed in the area.
Right.
And I got really tired of not being known. So soundclick.com was very known and still is known as an unsigned artist hub. And I started going into their forums. MySpace was out at the time too, and they were really having charts, which were crazy. People didn't understand. There was like signed artist music, unsigned artists that were chopping, and aspiring artist charts. So in your area, you would get these rankings. And then I think someone about the website of Reverb Nation, they kind of took the realm of, you know, representing cities and unsigned artists, but also giving out a bunch of free information. But I wasn't into reading. So I didn't want to go in there. I didn't want to do this. This is work ethic that I didn't want to do. And I gave myself a timeline. Age 25. I said 25, this is a young man's sport. And if I don't make it by then, we're going to go ahead and do something else.
Okay.
Well, so before I turned 25, I decided that I was going to start a live stream, internet radio. At that time, there were only 100,000 people doing it in Shoutcast. So Shoutcast, which is the also, I think the developers were of Winamp, which is a third-party player, because no one really liked using the Windows Media Player.
Yeah, but I remember Winamp.
So Winamp, they had so much of a change of how people were broadcasting. And one of those things were Shoutcast. Now, internet radio was so at its, I don't even know what it's, the beginning, that certain commercial radio stations were actually using Shoutcast because they knew that internet radio was going to become something. So as I became someone that was friends with the Winamp developers and Shoutcast and all these forums that I was into, I kind of like picked everybody's brain on how to take this laptop that I will not get rid of and create.
You still have.
Yes. Now, this is a new one right here, but that I would not get rid of this compact. Remember the name brand compact? So I wouldn't get rid of this compact, and I wanted to create my own server. Here I am. I'm in the Navy. And I don't have a technical job. So I would do this all on my off time. You know, I would, my regular job in the Navy is to launch and recover airplanes. So you'll see the guys on the flight deck or even those commercials, and they have yellow shirts and they're launching people. That's my regular job. Okay. So
that's cool, man.
Thank you. And it was a frightening job too, just put it like that. But I like technology a lot, and I've always liked technology. I've always liked taking stuff apart since cassette players, CD players, because I never wanted to go back to the store. I know my mom paid so much money for all these things so I can have, so I wanted to fix it. I wanted to figure out what anti-shock really meant on CD players. And anybody listening is like, he said anti-shock, but
and I hated that crap. Anti-shock CD players.
So the world at home ended up being like, you know, figure this whole music thing out. You know, I never used Pro Tools, which I know is a Mac, more made for a Mac and now other operating systems. Or I didn't use GarageBand. I used the third-party Acoustica and Mixcraft.
And all these are just like editing software for music. Editing music. Okay.
So here I am. I have. Do you remember the mics that used to come with a standard computer? It used to be long. And it just didn't look like a microphone. But I had one of those mics. I put a sock over it, and I started spitting my bars, whatever. And because and because the editing software had the actual instrumental, I kind of felt like I had good quality because the instrumental was not tarnished, but my vocals were, and I didn't know that at the time. So I kind of got savvy with that. But anyways, so I'm worried about audio. I'm worried about all this stuff, all this, getting shows, all this. And I just got tired. I just got really tired because it's a lot. It's a lot to learn.
It's a lot of work, right?
When you're not teaching it, you're not getting taught, or, YouTube it was at his how-to level, but it was more of a Justin Bieber era. It was more of who's singing, who's famous at that time. So you had a lot of people that were telling you things, but they weren't telling you too much. So you really had to find out a lot of things for yourself. Yeah. And for the Shoutcast forums and that kind of community, it was IP. It was like, take an IP, take this IP, take this port, and send it to the world. So
when you say IP, what do you mean?
Like an IP address. So, that I think it's like 4 decimal numbers is significant to.
Yeah, I thought you meant some other acronym.
Oh, no, you're good. Which I think is called what? Internet portal? Something like that?
Yeah, it is. Portal? It is basically the location of this is like your address of your computer.
Yeah. So, so basically the start of internet radio was you were giving everyone this location of where your songs are getting played or where your audio is coming from, and you're sending links. And that's all I knew. So I would just send links. And what started off as me just talking, I ended up bringing like my drama in my life into it. Right. Okay. And I was like, let me bring phone callers and, phone. I don't think there was an iPhone stage yet, but I kind of was like, using razors and all this, and putting ports and figuring out this mixer kind of situation, and real life mixer, the software. And I kind of really just stuck with it. I just kept sticking with it. The QSJ, it comes from something that is that I didn't let go of at home. Like, I don't know how you felt when you came in the service, but I didn't like my town, right? I didn't like my town. I was like, I got to get out of here. The
Marine Corps, like I always say, this first thing smoking, right? The first thing smoking is how and the Marine Corps was the first thing smoking. So I was like, get me out of this town.
Yeah, I was telling the recruiter. I think a lot of people have that feeling, right? Because, it's kind of like, and it's everything that you ever wanted to happen. And I say this, in general, I'm sorry if this has never really happened to anybody who joined the service, but when you join a service, everything you ever wanted to happen to you happens like 2 months before you ship out. Like, you get the girl of your dreams, you get the significant, the person that you always wanted to like you.
If you listen to the show and before you join the military, if you're going to go on a float or some, tour or duty, just don't.
Yeah,
don't just do it.
Yeah, just don't fall in love right before you leave, because it's like, everybody's wrapped up in emotions. You're about to disappear. So you're either spending too much money or spending too much time with the wrong people. It's just really crazy. So here I am, I'm leaving. And my brother, DJ X, he is, he's in a rap group. He's in a rap group. So I'm like, okay, it's whatever. I go to boot camp. I get Dear Johns. That was not cool, but whatever. I got some.
Yeah, that's the problem with that. The problem with getting into a relationship before you leave is the Dear John letter,
And for those who don't know what a Dear John is a letter that, is your significant is sending you, telling you that they met someone else, that they
That you've been gone too long. Where the hell are you? I'm telling you, I've been through this crap before. That's why I tell people, just don't do it, because I think people have a misconception about relationships in the military. It's like they think, they like the idea of being with a military person, but not understanding that being in a relationship with a military person means that, you're not going to have access to them. They have to actually work, and they're not going to be, they don't, so it's
basically like a long distance relationship, even if you come home every day. It's crazy. And shout out to all the spouses who ever held it down, because you guys are seriously the backbone. Yeah,
it's
of all that.
It's a great sacrifice. I'm telling you, it really is. If you can hang in there with that, I think. But go ahead. What you were saying about? No, go ahead. You were saying about.
So my brother's a rap. He's in a rap group. He started this thing, and when I came home, here I am, right? I left home. I never wanted to come back home, but I miss home. Mm-hmm. So I started missing home because, you don't have any more privacy. Your privacy is gone. Mm-hmm. You don't have any more, you just lose a lot. And for some reason, boot camp, it doesn't really do this, but it feels like it just took everything from you, because you have deadlines, timetables, places to be, and you kind of have to rush everything, right?
So you're saying that when you join the military, because I think I understand what you're saying.
I got homesick. I basically got homesick, right?
Okay.
And when I got homesick, and luckily I got stationed in the East Coast, and my brother was in a rap group, and they were called QSJ. So I was like, oh, okay. So I used to rep them mad hard, right? Everybody's like, yeah, I'm from the urban community. So we just rep everybody. Like, yeah, that's my boy. He's the best rapper ever. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then one day he just stopped. So here I'm giving a whole bunch of my time to this kid. And he just stopped. And I wasn't going to.
You just say he didn't want to do it any longer?
Yeah, he just stopped. It was like, wow, that's nuts. But then, I was already influenced. I was already trying to do the rap thing. And I said, I'm just going to keep this alive. Mm-hmm. And so I went ahead, I kept it alive. And even when I stopped, creating music and creating content and albums, I kept QSJ alive. I said, this is really have been such a part of me.
And what does QSJ stand for? If you haven't already told me already.
If I'm sorry if I didn't tell you this before, but it means que se joda, which in Spanish means forget them, right?
Okay.
So, but if you guys Google it, you'll probably figure out is another saying, but.
What is it? It's a podcast, man. You can just spit it out.
Okay. So, que se joda means fuck them all.
Okay.
So it means like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't care. It's basically like, I don't care in the worst Spanish way.
Okay. I mean, I think we all fuck them all. We
you know feel me?
Yeah, we got you.
Because come on, man. These people are crazy. Mm-hmm. Which these people are like everybody who's always against something. But anyways, mm-hmm. I kept QSG alive by reaching out to those MySpace artists, SoundClick artists, and then I started talking to them. We gained, you gained friendships forever because no one was trying to listen to these people. Mm-hmm. Either their mixing was off, or no one really took them serious, and I tried my hardest to personalize that because I knew what it felt as an artist to not really been taking the time to get heard. As soon as I had this breakthrough as an artist where I was going to get my song played in a store, and I was like, wow, that's nice. They got mixtapes all over. I could just drop my mixtapes off. And, well, there was kind of an industry going on with that, but I was so to myself that I kind of look crazy. You remember CDs and they used to come in different color cases, the rainbow cases. So here I'm giving a mixtape out and I got rainbow cases. I didn't even know there was a business out there that would do the
jewel
printing.
case. Yeah,
the jewel case, the small one. But I knew of the sleeves. I knew of that, like the mixtape sleeves.
I remember I was up with my brother at one point, and he with his website that they would actually specifically make specialized jewel cases.
CD Baby did that. Yep, they still around right now.
Yeah, CD Baby's around. I go there a lot of times just do my research on different artists. Because it's so hard to find out who wrote a song nowadays or who's actually the publishing company. It's just crazy, man. It's just ridiculous. I think iTunes and YouTube Music do a pitiful job of giving credit to people where credit is due. They want that money, but I get a bill every single month saying, "Hey, you're due $19.99."
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm glad that you're paying the artist, but I'm just like, it's not only about me hearing the music and them paying the artist, about who created the music. That's also should be a part of what I'm paying for and what I'm getting as well. I shouldn't have to go to CD Baby and all these different places just to find out who wrote the song and what the lyrics are.
That has become my focus at QSJ Radio. At times it was more of how'd you start, what made you do this? What's your plans? But then things started getting really disorganized. I started getting emails and all these files that, the artists, if they're at home and they're doing their own little mastering and mixing or whatever, they forget to file name their tracks. So I would get these songs that would say Untitled #1. And I'm like, okay, so here's a song by Untitled #1. And I'm saying this live, right? And they're like, no, my name is Toucan Sam, and my song is Gunslinger, right? And I'm like, what? You didn't send that. So what started off as saying, like, hey, can I get some information? I kind of installed it into their head. I said, listen, I don't know how far you go, but I go far as enhanced CDs. And enhanced CDs were extra metadata that was inside of music.
Yeah, Sony was the first things that
right?
Yeah, I remember Sony was the first people that I saw that actually did that. No one gave a damn. I mean, they were caught on because no one. It's like the CDs that I got that had that metadata on it. You had to have a Sony device for even to read the CD.
Exactly. And even in the car systems. And it was really cool. Once you got a CD and everybody, had their stuff together that you put it on and you could actually see the name and see the song. It didn't have to say track 1 or track 2.
Yeah. Which I think back there, just such a sloppy way of doing business. But so basically what's happening at this point is you set up a platform where new artists are able to send their music to you. You're able to get their music played so that a larger audience can get introduced to them. But the problem that you run into at this particular point is that the artists don't really understand that you have to sort of put your best foot forward. You have to actually put your name and the name of the song on your track so that I can introduce it correctly. There's a disconnect. They understand how to rap. They understand how to mix.
They understand everything except the business part. And, being a talented musician, of course, this is already on its rarity, right? Because being talented is meaning also that you're different. And especially nowadays, everybody's literally just following a wave.
Yeah.
But then at that time, I decided to organize myself and to, let artists know. And then, of course, taking information from other radio stations that were kind of at my level or even higher level and deciding on, do I take my radio station to a business level? Because that's also a business, because there's also these things that there was at one time, people don't understand this. at one time, when your song was played on the internet, it didn't count. It didn't count. It didn't matter. There was no laws.
Yeah,
There was
nobody
no
cares
laws.
about. Well, so you're saying that your music is being played on the internet
At one
and
time,
there's no publishing issues and things like that.
Nothing,
That's what you
because
mean?
they didn't. No one really at that time, and this is me like really heavy into the internet radio thing because I was wondering.
So you were playing all types of art, like signed artists, unsigned artists, independent artists, and now you get all these laws saying you can't play Justin Timberlake any longer.
Exactly. I was like, yo, what? I was like, okay, let me stop.
Yeah, it pissed me off too, man, because I wanted to try to get a license to play music on my podcast. I'm like, I'm fine. I'll pay for the freaking music. How much does it cost? And they were like $250 a year. Like $250 a year. That's all. Like that sounds.
And what's crazy?
But you only can play it on your website. Like you cannot put it on Apple. You can't put it on Google. You only can put it on your website for this $250 a year. And I'm like, that's
no
not
apps, no anything. And what's crazy is that the listenership starts at 0. So they don't care if you have no listeners or not. It's 250, and that's just to play a specific bunch of artists that are at this specific pro, which is your publishing rights organization. And if your favorite artists or the people that are attracting more listeners are not part of that, you can't play their song. So you got to go to the next one, which would be like BMI, an example is BMI or ASCAP, and try to get a blanket license. And then a lot of this, one thing that I really dislike about the internet, and even though my business is based off the internet, and your business, of course, too, is that there's too much information that nobody is actually like putting it all together. Like there's a step here, there's a step here, there's a step here, there's a process.
Yeah.
And I started getting all these hate mails from parents that were, trying to promote their kid. They get played on my show and they're like, yo, where's my money? Like, okay, radio does not pay your royalties, right? Your royalties.
Wow. So they thinking that because they are playing, my kid is giving you their access to play their music, I supposed to be getting some exactly. I'm sorry.
Like no, for real. Like they really out here thinking that. And it's so crazy because I get in fights with publicists too over this, right? And I'm like, listen, either you gave me a bad spelling or something, but I give my reports in regardless of who gets played, because let's say I get an artist who last week wasn't part of a publishing and I'm still playing their song, and the week after they're part of publishing. So I'm still sending the report, even if the artist is not on a publishing rights organization. So while I'm sending these reports, because I have a blanket license means that I already prepaid. So you're supposed to get a check from somewhere else.
BMI, ASCAP, or somebody. But
it'll say that you got played here at QSJ, but that's all. Not QSJ is coming out of pocket, because I'm like, bro, like you don't even understand. We're a small radio station. We'd be lucky if somebody lets us pitch a sponsorship, Right. So it's while we're doing that and we're trying to figure all this out, I'm getting all this hate from everybody everywhere. It's not even haters. It's just like a bunch of people that think they know too much. Like some groups.
I call it miseducation, right?
Yes, a lot. And I kind of wanted to focus on that. But now I became this customer service, which I was like, wait, hold on. Am I really providing a service? Because I'm a radio station? I kind of like I get it. And then I was like, all right, you know what? It's true. I'm kind of like the guy to go to. Let me answer the phone. Let me answer these emails. Let me be professional and let them know, certain things that have to happen before they start receiving money. But then I started thinking about the same thing, like this costing a lot. How am I supposed to get my name out there? How am I supposed to do it?
You're getting bogged down by the administrative crap.
Yeah. I almost gave up on this It probably was about 2 or 3 years in. So 2009, a lot of things were going on in my life at that time. Wife I had at the time was suffering from leukemia, so she was going through some chemos. She just finished having our daughter, and like a year later, they diagnosed her with that. I was going on another deployment. I was on board the USS NASA, and I was like, well, I can't get this show to be automated. How am I supposed to get it automated? And then, and what I meant is like, if I log in somewhere and I say, hey, don't forget to, send me a song or something, like just a post or something somewhere. I figured out that I can have a form, and if I, we're lucky enough to hit a port, I can go get Wi-Fi real quick, check my emails, and update my playlist so that way artists.
So what year is this? You said
this
3 years
like
ago.
2009. Yeah. So Facebook was around. So it was easy to connect, because everybody at Facebook at that time was connected with you for a purpose. It wasn't just, I think at first Facebook was kind of like a college thing. And then,
to me, it was like a family thing. It was like my mom wanted, instead of me emailing pictures of me on vacation, it was like, go to Facebook. You can see me up there. So it was sort of like that, an easy way for people who were not computer savvy to see images. Now it's some bullshit, but go ahead.
Yeah, it is. It's even though it's Facebook did not bring me and you together. Okay, think about that, right? So we had to leave that in order to get the new friends and guests that we have on our show. We had to leave that because our circle either can be a little too toxic or too, unwanting. But as it grew, but this is a time where I was like, okay, let me utilize that Wi-Fi, right? Even though overseas Wi-Fi is kind of trash, there were times where I just log in, I'd update my playlist, and I just try to keep this going. And 2010, she just finished she was in remission, and 6 months later, it came back. And when it came back, they flew me back home. So when they flew me back home, I was like, okay, let me take care of the wife, right? This is how I got to do. And around 2 weeks after I got home, she kind of told me, like, I don't know if she was pushing me away, or I don't know whatever the situation was, but she was tired. And I kind of had to give her what she wanted, right? Can't really force these situations, especially somebody who's suffering. So I gave her what she wanted. So
she's asking for her space, basically.
Yes. Yep. And it's always a push, and you're like, but the Navy, they hooked me up. And what I mean by they hooked me up was they gave me orders to stay home to take care of her.
Okay.
And I was like, man, what am I going to do now? Because I'm 2 weeks in, and she doesn't want to play the game no more. And so I think I was roommating with my brother, and he was the same guy, DJ, and
DJ X.
DJ X, yep.
I gotta look him up, DJ X. Just send me the link. Is he still DJing?
He's still DJing.
Okay, you gotta send me the link, man. I gotta check him out.
He kind of
so your wife is suffering with, trying to heal herself through leukemia.
Yep.
And I don't want to, tell your story, but it sort of seemed like she may have sort of given up at this particular point, because she's pushing you away.
Yeah, she's pushing me away, but at the same time, it wasn't the case. Her brother came and gave her some plasma, and gave her 5 more years. But it was more of a case of it wasn't working out with us. So while I'm over here on a Navy's check at home trying to take care of her, and my brother was a DJ and I was sleeping on his floor, I kind of told myself, I only have QSJ radio. Now I had kids, And I would visit them and they would visit me and I would spend my time. But since I was like alone, I just had dad time, and then it went away because I didn't take no kids from anybody. And there was a whole bunch of other stuff going on at that time. But I only had
But your wife ultimately was healed from leukemia.
No.
I'm sorry, your ex-wife.
Yeah. She I think last week, 7 years, she's 6 years she's been gone.
She passed away?
Yep.
Wow, I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Nah, it's all good, man. It's all good. It was getting hard to see, age 5 years where it was coming and we thinking like, yes, she's good. She's getting her hair back. She's chilling, makeup, whatever. And then something happened. It came back stronger. She lost 100 pounds in 2 months. It was just hard to see, and I know that the family, they knew it was hard to see. It was hard. It was getting hard to see, and we knew it was treatments. We knew it was all that, but it was getting very hard to see. I still remember this conversation I had with my son because she was going through her last treatments. And
how old was your son? Well, how old was your son around this time?
At that time, he was 7.
7, okay.
7.
So he can kind of understand what's going to a certain extent.
This dude understands everything.
Okay.
He's probably listening to me right now, like he's about to go in. But he's one of those. He's one of those special ones, right? So he kind of made her sad, right? We bring this story up a lot, but it was one of those times where I had to be like no filter. And she called me. She was like, can you talk to him because he wants me to play, but I'm tired. And we're separated already. We're separated. We're whatever. And I called him and I said, hey man, if you're gonna play with her, just do something next to her, or maybe play checkers. And your mom's sick, and in any moment she can die. Like, I'm telling this kid at that age.
Wow.
Because I was so angry because I couldn't, take care of nobody.
Are y'all in the same city or in the same state?
We were at that time. At that time we were. And I was just like, I just had to tell him straight up, like, bro, like, this is serious. He tells me all the time, like, probably the realest shit you ever told me. But at the same time, it wasn't something that I wished for. It wasn't. It was more of a, a reality check.
Well, how old is he now?
He's 14. He's
okay.
A straight pain in the ass, but he's that dude. He's that dude.
But he's saying that, but he's appreciative that you kept it real and that you let him know what was going on, even though he was, 7 years old.
Yeah. Instead of using that, as a, I know that they pain. I know that they pain, I know that they go through their things and their pain. But before she was gone, all I had was QSJ and visitation with my kids. So since I was in New York City, I kind of just jumped around, clubbed, and started meeting a whole bunch of people. Did festivals, started branding myself, and basically the show saved me. Because I went into whatever that's called. I don't want to diagnose myself or anything like that, but I went into some place where it was like, I knew that I had to do something and stay busy. I joined a gym, New York gym. Like, that's super expensive. I was like, what am I paying $150 for a gym for?
A month. Wow.
What? And what was crazy is that I was still getting Navy money. I was still at home, and I was supposed to be taking care of her, and that opportunity didn't come. So I went to the recruiting station. They gave me a few jobs. I wasn't a real recruiter, But in the morning to the afternoon, I kind of was like, hey, you want to join the Navy? And at night it was like, hey, you want to get a show? You want to get an interview? Let's take a picture. I went to Staples and created a fake press pass. So I would like access all these places. And it was working. It was working. I was like at New York City's Hot 97's what's it called?
97.5.
Yeah. The Summer Jam. I got access to that. I started meeting with a whole bunch of friends.
And what year is this? It's like
this is 2010, 2011
Wow.
era. And ever since then, I have like, there was this one group, Talk About Money Entertainment, which is also Fred the Godson's, the late Fred the Godson's label. I followed them because it was family based. Everywhere I was chasing everybody. I was even chasing Joe Button before he became a podcaster. I was chasing him. I was like, I gotta get a.
You mean Joe Rogan?
Joe Button.
Joe Button.
The rapper.
Oh,
he made that
okay.
song, Pump It Up. Pump
Okay,
Up.
yeah. I need to.
There is a Joe Rogan.
I thought you said
too.
Joe Biden for a second. I said,
no,
you mean Joe Button?
Button.
Okay.
See, there's that lisp. That's what matters.
I said, you found Joe Biden? I said, what's going on? Okay. Now I got you.
So I was following these artists. I'm just following them, trying to get, this music journalist thing that I was trying to do, where I was trying to figure out like, how are these artists making it? And believe it or not, no matter how many places I went, how many people I met, it's all about branding. It's all about, you got to have the money, you have to have the talent, but you have to have the branding.
Yeah, so you got to have that machine behind you, It's that machine that, and I hate the freaking saying that because, but I just know that, even the thought, I thought about even yesterday, I was like thinking, but something I was thinking about. And, and I love Adele. I think she just has an amazing freaking voice, and, she's signed to Sony and all that crap, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of artists out there that can sing better than Adele and has better music than Adele. Mm-hmm. But the reason what makes Adele so special is she has that freaking machine behind her.
Yeah.
And her album's going to come out next month or whenever it's going to come out. It's going to be number one. It's going to sell, 10 million plus copies. Not because, she's the greatest singer, not because she has the greatest songs. And I mean, she's good. I mean, she's a great artist. Probably better than most out there that we've heard of that are signed. But there are other artists out here that are even more special than Adele, but they don't have the machine behind them.
Yep. And, there's always this thing that these artists, especially the ones you're probably talking about, they want to keep everything 100% real, right? Everything 100% authentic. Mm-hmm. And that kind of burns their own bridges, because what happens is if they want to get signed, you're going to have to give up a lot. And if you're an unsigned artist and you're trying to make traction, you still have to give up a lot in order to, pursue whatever the signed guy has. You have to let certain song go, and certain artists don't want to let go of their rights. They don't want to let go of their studio sessions. They don't want to let go of any other stuff. They don't want nobody remixing their stuff. And, it becomes selfish because, you could get a check off of that. You can get a check off of just, having writers or composer kind of, information on there. But they don't want to look into too much of that. I don't know how many songs got turned down by so many other people, and people. I talked to a guy by the name of Ruben Martinez last week, and he's a world-known manager, right? And it was kind of special because I felt like managers have the worst job in the industry. I do.
I believe it, man.
Because they have to deal with everything the artist throws at you, from their emotions to their problems to their insecurities to the whole bunch of stuff.
Right.
And it's very hard to try to invest your time in the talent that doesn't believe in themselves, and to try to push that or try to get them meetings and all this stuff. And professional recording artists have a very, very hard life. They miss a lot of things. I thought me being in the military was hard, bro. I'm a hero regardless, right?
Right.
Think about that.
Right. It's easy to explain. You're up in the military, and I think people are socially. It's more socially acceptable, where people go, "Oh, it's so unselfish of you to be out there."
Yes, it's unselfish.
But as an artist, it's sort of like, this is your ego. This is your ego.
You serious? Like, you're not going to make it. You're dealing with all of that, and it's just like, I get it. It's a thing. You get really full of energy, but then you just get into these situations that you don't. A lot of people don't want to let stuff go. Yes, I've met, you've met, we've heard, we've downloaded, we supported so many artists that are beyond talented from what we're hearing on the radio.
Yeah.
But a lot of people got to understand that that's a certain time in your career, not a specific, it's a specific time. So if you're a commercial artist and and you belong at a certain airwaves, if you're a unsigned artist that is making commercial moves, then there's possibility that you can be up there, but you're not going to get played too much because you don't have a backing of a label.
Right.
And then there's the aspiring unsigned artists where it's just very hard. It's just very hard to explain. I know we got time.
No, but I get what you're saying.
But it's a specific time. It's a specific time. Like, if you got the catchiest song in the world right now and it came from social media, then you need to let that song go. How do you let that song go? You get that license. You tell them, hey, this is going to be distributed by so-and-so, and we'll cross our fingers on how many radios pick it up. A lot of artists think that, I got 60 million views going on YouTube. Okay, so how are you capitalizing on YouTube? Now, did you even try to capitalize? Did you pull out merchandise? Did you, because you're not going to get all that money. YouTube's going to get that money. Right. And if your song is not put together, which means the behind the scenes stuff, then you're not going to get anything. You're just going to be popular. So
some people are happy with that. Some people are happy with popularity, and some people are just happy with the compliment, and that's, I've seen that. It's like, you're never going to get to that place because you got to be beyond just having someone, you got to be beyond being satisfied with just the applause. There has to be something.
And that's where the team comes from. That's where that machine comes from, because the artist plays the ego, but the ego shuts down all the time. Everyone's ego shuts down all the time. DJ, I don't know how long you've been podcasting, but I'll tell you one time or another, you probably wanted to give it all up. And I
have. So this is not my first. This is not my first time at the rodeo.
You know what I'm saying?
But my fifth time at the rodeo.
But tell me, D, did it have anything to do with the podcast?
No, it had to do with my own insecurities. It had more to do with what is the impact that I'm making. And when you can't see the impact that you're making, you can't see it. And then when the like I don't know why I'm doing this. I just don't know why. It's not putting any money in my pocket. I don't know who's listening. But when
not yet, anyway. Don't worry.
Right, but then after I would leave it. Of course, I would feel the emptiness of leaving it because you know that what you're supposed to be doing, right?
Yeah.
And people would say, "Oh, you're not doing the podcast any longer." I was listening to it. you know?
So, and then there comes that phrase where, you know, give somebody their flowers before it's too late, right?
Yeah.
And we don't get flowers. we we get thank yous from our guests and people that we meet and stuff like that. But then it becomes a dead zone of hearing nothing. You see the downloads, but you don't get responses. And then you ask for reviews or something like that, and you hardly get them. And
but it happens though. I people say, "Oh, no, I heard the episode." This is the thing I have to get beyond. This is what I had to get beyond. The thing is that I had a person walk up to me and saying, "Oh, I really enjoyed what you said on the episode," and I didn't have the time, nor they had the time for me to sit there and say, which episode did you see? I don't know if you saw the episode on YouTube. I don't know if you listened to it on Google or whatever. I don't know what I said that inspired them. They don't even freaking remember. So it's like I had to get out of wanting that feedback of what did I say? What episode was you listening to?
Yeah.
You know, all they remember is that you said something that inspired them, right? Yeah. So that's it. You're not going to get the satisfaction of knowing what that was.
Yeah, you're not. It's so annoying. But
I had to let that go. But
it's so good. It's all good. Like how what's crazy is sometimes artists deal with the same thing all the time, right? Mm-hmm. They'll you got the egotisticals who are looking at their views and they're like, oh, it's lit. It doesn't matter. They all viewed me. They all shared me. It's all good.
They're happy with the applause.
Exactly. And then you got people who just want, who take an extra amount of time on their craft and they want to know the details, just like podcasting. When people have their stuff organized, if you guys didn't know, DJ is extremely organized. I say this all the time, every time we talk. But sometimes you forget things and it's all good. But
yeah. It's been a tough week, right?
when you got those people who take an extreme amount of time on their craft, they want to know the details. They want to know the details because
the love is in the details, right? The love is in the details.
And we're not going to get that. We're not going to get that. We're never going to get that.
Not at the place that I think that we would it would satisfy us. Not the place that's going to be satisfying. I had to just know that, you don't know the level of satisfaction I get when I upload a new episode. There's like the greatest satisfaction you just can't even imagine that I get every time I'm finished at all the editing and everything, and I press that button, it says publish. It makes me feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I know that's it in a nutshell. It isn't a compliment. It isn't, it's great. I want people to listen to the show. I want people to respond. I want to make money off of this one day. It takes time to grow and consistency and all those things. And I believe, and I'm a firm believer, anything that you focus on grows in some way or another.
Yep.
But of course
I feel that 100% with the podcasting because you finish something, and not only that, you're letting it off to the world. It's not something that you're holding on you anymore. It's something that people could share, and hopefully the guest shares.
Yeah. You shared amazing stuff, man. You really surprised me in terms of all the things that you share, and I learned so much even with our conversation, what we've had shared, what you shared already.
There's so much DJ.
You have a story, man. I definitely feel you on, that you have more to share. And I think that that you have a bright future in front of you, man. You really do. You have this light. And I think there are certain aspects that I see that you don't even see yet, that you haven't tapped into. And
Okay.
And oh yeah, I mean, you have a bright future in front of you. I think it's just certain things that you possess that you just haven't sort of figured out. Just and maybe you already sort of know that.
Yeah, it's morphing time.
Yeah, you haven't sort of put into the shape that it needs to be in. But you'll get it. With the consistency, and you've been doing it for we've been talking about we haven't even gotten to the last 10 years
No.
of this. We just got to 2010.
Yeah.
And maybe we need to have a part 2 conversation about just the last 10 years that you've been working on this.
Hey, I don't mind, man. I don't mind.
Yeah. Well, I do have a 7:00 with
well, I got a lot of things to do in the next 2 hours. Especially I got a guest coming.
Yeah, but we of course we want to. This is our first conversation, man. So out of many more, because I think that what I've sensed from you is that you definitely know what you're good at. You definitely have figured that part out. You know what talent you have and what your ambition is. I just, and I think that I figured those things out too. Maybe I got some way to go in terms of trying to get that channel in the right way.
Okay.
But definitely, man, I think.
Wow, I got a mentor.
Look, man, I'm
shout out to my boy.
I'm a good mentor.
DJ just told me he's gonna be my mentor. Okay, thank you so
cool,
much.
Man. I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it. Mentorship and mentoring is always a win-win situation. It's always something to be learned and to teach from both sides of the situation. So yeah. So man, I just want to thank you so much. I just don't want this conversation to end because I just had a more 1,000 questions to ask you about your journey and about some of the things that you got sort of coming in the future. Man. So how do people reach out to you if they want to get in contact with you?
So for artists purposes, I would always guide them to the qsjradio.com website. Go up there because more than anything, they're going to ask, how can I get my song played? Mm-hmm. Well, we have a consideration, which is free, and $5 fee, which will just get you a slot on kind of like a standard rotation. And anything higher than that is probably going to be an interview and 4 of your singles in that interview. And your songs will get played all year. Now, if people ask for these songs more than 10 times, you're probably going to be put on our top 100 songs of the year because we don't get a lot of songs requested like that. So we've been doing this 100 unsigned artists for the last 10 years. I think we're going on our 11th year this year.
Wow.
And that's been a little bit of tough because the last 3 to 4 years, people have been, submitting in the thousands.
Wow. That's a lot of music, man, trying to get through.
Yeah, I know. It's just, I've really focused on artists that have been grinding. Meaning they got a brand behind them. They have, they're continuous. They're being consistent. Anything that can probably inspire me, because that's what artists do. They kind of inspire. And of course they have to have some type of talent. But we take everything. We take all songs. We take songs that, artists just started mixing and mastering. We'll take those. We'll take that into consideration. We don't review music because.
Oh wow!
I don't think that's. And this might get some of my associates mad, but I don't think that instant gratification is something that an artist needs in their thing. We talked about it just now about our own podcast situations where we want to know what the feedback is about the product that we put out there. But that also can be, heartbreaking. You're you as an artist have to understand that you have to find your own fans. You can't go and jump into somebody's fan base and expect them to love you too, because you got inspired by, or even sound the same, or use the same beat or whatever. You know, it's just, you have to find your own fan base. And I really believe highly on that. So they can go to qsjradio.com, or if they want to email me and, you know, just talk about, you know, possible interviews or any products, albums, projects, businesses could hit me up too. That's going to be at qsjradio@gmail.com. I'm on social media, and I wanted to like write this down. I'm on social media 100% authentic. So that means I'm not hiding feelings. I am not going to act different from what I am at in real life or on social media. So if I'm sad, I'm going to be sad. I'm probably reaching out to people. If I'm going to be happy, I'm going to share a milestone. But I won't get into politics, because being in the military, and you know, it's just I don't live that life. You know?
Yeah, in the military, you do as told.
Yes.
You know, it's like,
that's the simplest way to say it.
What do I believe today? Okay.
Yeah, like that's the simplest way to put it. But knowing that, you know, we fought side by side with people from the farms, people from the urban community, people from other countries, all types of America in one place. We all know when we had jokes on each other that they were jokes. And sometimes it would get a little bit worse than that, but we had to get the job done together. And I think that me as a person doesn't get into politics like that, because it's just one way and one thought. And the way that I was, that I took my years in the service is that, you know, I'm doing the same service that I would do for someone in the city, someone in the urban community, someone in the sticks, as we call it, or in the countryside. It's the same mission. It's the same.
Yeah,
it's the same flag.
I have to defend this country regardless of if you are Republican or Democratic. If there's a Republican president or a Democratic president, I still have to defend this country. So it doesn't, my allegiance doesn't change depending on who's in charge. It's just, you know, I think that's sort of ingrained in you as, you know, being a military man, you know.
Yeah, and a lot of community service.
Yeah, because that's really
a
what
lot of community service.
That's really what being in the military is community service, and it really is a service. I mean, when they say service, it's service.
It is,
you know,
all day.
And yeah, so I feel you on that. So I'll leave that link inside of your email address and your links to your social media in the show description, so people can reach out to you. And I would like to, you know, send me a song or somebody. I would like to have the intro of this episode be a song that maybe a hot beat that you think is an emerging artist, and introduce them on this show. Maybe I can have the intro and the outro of that song. Maybe put a little 30-second snippet or a 30-second. Usually lately I've been doing that. I've been taking 30-second snippets of some songs that I like that are almost free, but you know, I'm not paying anybody. It's royalty free songs, but the music is great. And like I said, they're a great artist, great music. Just they don't have the machine behind them.
Yeah.
So
that's what. See, and it's crazy because you know, they just, the whole purpose of my show, and I'm not the only one that does it, is to educate. You know, bring in the experts, go do my own research, show results. Because a lot of these talents just straight go to waste. And any artists out there, please, just take your time. Some of it is fast, some of it is slow. If you're getting people that are telling you that your stuff sounds outdated. I'm telling you right now, one of the oldest guests I ever had on my show was 75 years old, and he was making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So whoever is telling you this probably didn't make it. I'm telling you.
Yeah, you got to have a belief in oneself that is, that's very real. And a question I always ask myself is, if you was paid nothing, would you still do it? And look, right, I'm doing it,
and
I'm
loving
doing
it, and loving it.
I love what I do, because if I wasn't doing it, I can't imagine not doing it, because I have my moments, but I'm like, why, but then it's like, I'm back to doing what I'm doing. So, it's just what it is, man. A artist has to create,
Yes.
and it's maybe I'm not doing music in terms of creating music or creating this podcast, but that's my way to create, and my way to give back. And what I would love to do is, like, this is all that I do in terms of, one of the major things that sort of feed my pockets, and it feeds my soul, and it feeds it. I would love that, to have that Oprah moment where, this is, my calling, and it's paying, every, all aspects of my life. But, you just have to, but if you don't do it, you'll never know. You'll never know if that was the outcome for you. At least that where it's going to go. And like I said earlier, whatever you focus on grows. So, man, I'm so glad I had you in the episode. Like I said, I can't wait to have you back that we can talk more about the last 10 years of QSJ and definitely what projects that we can work on possibly together as we
I would
grow.
definitely like that.
Yeah, man. I definitely, like I said, I think what you're doing is great. I mean, your business, I think is great, but your personality, there's something there, man, that I think is just, even you haven't tapped into just yet. I can just see it.
Am I boring?
No, you're not boring. It's just that, it's just a piece there I see that I'm just like, this guy has something, and he just it's gonna come out. It's gonna be revealed. It's gonna show itself. But yeah, man, you definitely have this thing there that I see that as you move forward, you're gonna go, oh, okay. Yeah, I see what DJ was talking about.
All right, DJ, I'm gonna hit you up. You're like, he was talking about my haircut.
You're funny, man. No, man, no, dog. You got something there, man. And
thank you so much.
You got this thing that's locked and loaded, and yeah.